everyone, my name is Wan Chi and I'm a lecturer from Communication Design. Today I'll be showing you a demonstration of how to create a simple calligraphy thank you card for your friends. So we will be learning the technique of using felt tip calligraphy pens and also incorporating some dried flowers to make this card. So I'll be sharing with you some of the basic strokes of writing using a felt tip marker, and at the same time how to plan your word on the card, and eventually how do you then slot the flowers inside. Okay, so before I start, maybe let me just give you a quick background about calligraphy. So calligraphy is actually a traditional form of writing. It's actually a visual art form of expressive writing, and they actually exist in a lot of different styles. Traditionally, writings are done by hand, and over the years in design, we actually also try to incorporate some kind of calligraphy and writing into graphic design as well. So you can actually see from artworks like that, calligraphy or lettering writing is actually incorporated into book design. At the same time, you can also find them in visual art forms, creating content, like currently now maybe in social media you can see a lot of them happening. Sometimes it's also being incorporated into logos as well, logo designs for companies or even for weddings sometimes. And for some weddings, you can also see calligraphy forms very commonly used to create wedding invites or any event invitation cards. So some of the companies also like to incorporate them is as part of their advertising posters, and you can see them quite prominently in different industries like restaurants or even lifestyle shops. Okay, so let me just begin by showing you some basic strokes and techniques about writing with a calligraphy marker. Here are some of the materials that we need for today. Firstly, you will need some felt tip calligraphy markers. So felt tip markers are the markers that has got a soft brush edge to it. So you can actually get some of these different versions in major art stores. And next we also need some a pencil, a pen knife, scissors, metal ruler, and an eraser. And you also need some art paper. So I would recommend you to actually get thicker art paper that is about 250 GSM to 300 GSM, so that it's sturdy enough to hold the flowers. And depending on your preference, you can actually get different textured paper or different colors up to your own preference. We will also need a cutting mat, so that when we cut the slots for the paper, you actually don't destroy your own table. And we will also need some scrap paper for you to practice some of the strokes of writing before you start. Lastly, we need some dried flowers as well. So actually you can get whatever you will find at home, or if you have a bouquet, you can dry them and eventually use them. I would recommend maybe some eucalyptus leaves or even lavender. Those are quite good for creating the cards and has got a nice smell as well. So now I will start by sharing with you some basic strokes on calligraphy. I'll be showing you some basic strokes of writing with calligraphy felt tip marker. So just a quick rule that whenever you write an upstroke, you always lift your pen. You don't apply any pressure. So it's just a light lift like that. And when you do any downstroke, you always press your pen and go down so that you create that thickness. So in calligraphy, upstroke is always light and downstroke is always adding pressure so that you create this thick and thin effect. So some of the basic strokes that actually make up the different letters are, firstly, we have the upstroke, which is a light lift. So you can actually practice this a few times before you write. So upstroke. And then we have the overturn. So it's actually looking like an N. So you will do a slight curve as you go up, and as you come down, you'll apply pressure so that you can see pressure appearing on the right side of this curve. So this is called an over curve. So again, upstroke and press down. And then next we have the underturn. So it's like a U shape. So this time around is slightly different. You don't apply pressure on the left side, you just have a light stroke downwards and you press down and lift up. Okay, so again you can practice a couple of times. And then we have the underturn. Okay, next we'll be combining these two together to have a compound curve, which is something like this. A light stroke up, you press down, then you lift up your pen. So again, start with a light stroke up, press down, apply pressure and lift up. Again, one more time, you can do a few times practice to get it smooth, and then you have this. Okay, so the next stroke that we have is actually downward stroke. So you can go all the way down and curve up. So we call it actually, this is the descending loop because it's going down. So it happens in alphabets like G, J, Q, okay? So again, here you start off by applying pressure and then lifting your pen upwards to form a curve. So again, apply pressure, lift your pen, and then go upwards. Okay, next we have the ascending loop, which is starting from the bottom, you apply pressure, and you lift your pen towards the end. So this happens with alphabets like D, B, and maybe H as well. So again, you go up, you press, and go down and lift your pen up. So you can practice this a couple of times. Okay, and then lastly, we have the ovals as well that make up a lot of the letters. So over like this, we try to keep the left side thick and the right side thin. So you start by actually lifting your pen and then applying pressure and then lifting your pen again. So let me show you one more time. Okay, apply pressure and then lifting your pen again. Okay, so here you actually have a few basic strokes, and actually when you put them together, you will form the words. So today we'll be writing thank you. So THANKYOU. So we'll start by writing the capital T for thank you. So we actually start with a light curve. So you start by doing a light stroke with your pen and then applying pressure for like a light S curve. So this is actually the big stroke of the T. And then we have the top that we cross over. So that forms our capital T. And then we will connect the letters by stroke by stroke. So in calligraphy, do take note that you have to always be lifting your pen, and not everything is connected together. So I connect it with a light upstroke, okay? And then I have my ascending loop. So loop down and apply pressure, T, H. And I connect it with a compound curve. Okay, so you have T, H, and A. We actually have the oval that we learned just now. So you add in the oval, A, okay, and the downstroke, and a compound curve here to connect the A and the N. Okay, T, H, A, N. You press with pressure when you go down and lift your pen when you go up. Okay, and then we have K, and that will also be another ascending loop. So we have the ascending loop downstroke for K, and then this one you will just add in a little curve here lightly, don't need to add pressure, and just press down for K. Okay, so there we have thank. And then right now we will write U. So U, we will start with also a capital Y. So we can have a little curve here, light stroke. And press down when you go downwards, apply pressure. And then another light S curve, like just now what you did for the capital T. So over here, light stroke, start lightly and then press down and curve back up. So you have your capital Y. Okay, and then we have the connecting stroke, the light upstroke. Okay, and the oval. O. Apply pressure, lift your pen, and then we can add a little dot here as a connection to the next letter. And then instead of this very wide curve, we can have a little tiny curve to connect it to U. And then next we will have thick downstroke here and curving upwards. So apply pressure, thick downstroke, and then you lift your pen up. And then towards the end, we'll do just a slight curve over here to end the word U. So apply pressure and lift your pen towards the end. So apply pressure and lift towards the end. So we have the word thank you. Okay, so you can actually practice a couple of times before you write onto your card. So you can also actually draw some lines with a ruler and pencil to actually guide your writing. So just do a few practice before you finalize to writing your card. So let me just show you quickly again. T. Okay, we have the curve on top. Connecting stroke, lift your pen. H, and then the compound curve, the oval A, downstroke, N, and the loop, K. Okay, so you can sit the word actually on the pencil line that you have drawn, and then we do our Y. So always remember downstroke, try to lift your pen so that it's lighter, it doesn't have that fat stroke going on. Okay, connecting stroke, Y, O, and then add a dot here, downstroke, and end with a curve. Thank you. So you can write this a few lines until you are satisfied with your writing, you are all smooth, then you can write it on your card. So now I'll be showing you how to actually prepare your card so that you can have enough space to slot in your dried flowers and also try to estimate the area where you're writing at and cutting them. So you will want to leave about 1.5 cm gap here, left and right, so that your paper doesn't tear. So that's how we will be doing the marking here. So you can use a pencil and a ruler to actually mark about 1.5 cm each on each side. Okay, then you just draw a line down. So the other side as well, you can do 1.5 cm marking. Okay. Okay, so you can see this is the clearance for both sides where you will not cut through. Okay, and then now we need to position the diagonal. So actually there's no fixed angle. If you like it more slanted, you can do a bit more slanted. It's up to you to adjust. So I will just start maybe somewhere about 1/4 of the paper from the bottom. And you draw the base line first. So I just draw a base diagonal over here. Okay, so then we will be doing slightly about 3.5 cm thickness. So you can actually measure from your baseline about 3.5 cm or 4 cm thickness and do a marking so that you can have a consistent diagonal. So let's do about 4 cm for today. Okay, then you can do another diagonal line marking over here. Okay, so you can see this is the strip that we will be cutting. So you will be cutting from this edge to this edge and not exceeding your clearance area. And we also need to draw a guideline for your thank you word to sit on. So with this, we will take about a 1 cm marking guide. So again, I mark 1 cm and then you connect the dots as your baseline to work with. Okay, for you to write the thank you word. So before you begin writing with a marker, you can actually do a draft writing here so that to avoid any mistakes, and later on we can just erase away the pencil marking. So I will just write a draft here, my word thank you, so that you can also gauge the space. Okay, so T H A N K, okay, Y O U. Okay, so I need to cross this dot stroke. So this one you have your draft, and later on you can just ink it over with your marker after we cut the strip. Okay. So now just put your cutting mat under your paper, and you'll use your pen knife to actually cut from point to point where we mark out just now. Okay. So just make sure that the slit is cut through to the paper. Try not to exceed the clearance area that you have marked out just now. Okay, so I just cut out 2 strokes here. Okay, very simple. So then you just have this slot where later on you can slot the flowers in. Okay, and then now we will ink the word thank you. So you can just write over the pencil marking because they will be covered, and then later on you can use a light eraser to erase it. So let's start. Okay, again, remember to lift your pen. If you need to touch up certain strokes after that, you can actually fill it in slightly if there are areas you are not satisfied with. Okay, upstroke, H, A, N, K. So sometimes as you write along, you realize that maybe your marker is a little bit thick, and then your guideline, you are not exactly following it strictly, but that's fine because you will be erasing your pencil guideline later on. So just move along with the flow as you write. So don't worry about that too much. So if you need to adjust some space in between, feel free to do so. Okay, so my Y, okay, I'm shifting it towards the right a bit more. O, U, and N with this curve. Okay, so if you need to touch up a little bit, you can just fill it in lightly with your marker pen. And then my ending stroke. Okay, so there you have your word thank you. So we'll let it dry a little bit first before we erase the lines over here on the word thank you, in case it smudges. But you can start erasing actually the guidelines on the left and right. So just pick a soft eraser to remove it lightly. Just be careful, be very delicate with the paper. Remember the edges also to clean it off. And also run your eraser lightly through the cut lines because previously there were guidelines drawn over here. Okay, and then it should be dry by now. So just be very gentle when you erase the pencil mark. Okay, now we have everything cleaned up. Okay, so now we have this card ready. You have your slot. So now it's time to do a bit of a floral arrangement over here. Okay, so you just pick, you know, the different kinds of dried flowers that you are using. Try to roughly arrange and measure them so that you can cut them to size. Okay, so maybe let me just cut the eucalyptus. Okay, so I want to have it stretch over from the top of the cut to the bottom. So maybe roughly I will cut it around here. Okay, then I have this other flower, some lavender as well. Okay, so I will actually cut it to the length that I need. I'll try to arrange them. Okay, roughly this, maybe one more. Okay, you can arrange some longer, some shorter for a little bit of a contrast. Okay, so then I will just cut it about here. Okay, so when you put them together, I roughly have this. Okay, and then maybe I will also add a bit of, this is another kind of eucalyptus. So towards the bottom, I actually don't need it. I will just take it away. Okay, something like that. So when you put it together, so now be very gentle when you actually slot into the card. So you hold it with one hand. Try to press open the slot from the back and then put it in. Okay, just be gentle, then you can arrange it along the way as well. So I have to press this downwards first. Okay, you can actually flatten some of your flowers so that it doesn't pop out so much. Okay, then I will slot the remaining in. Okay, try to pull it downwards. Okay, so maybe this leaf is a bit in the way. I can just tuck it in here. You can do a bit of a crisscross version. Okay. Or I will just actually remove this leaf over here. Okay, so you roughly have it. It should be tight enough for you not to add any tape to secure. If you find that it's still a bit loose, maybe you can add a few more flowers at the back to make it fuller. So it's actually tight already and you don't need to stick anything at the back. But if you feel like you want it to secure more, you can actually add a tape behind. Okay, so maybe I'll just add these two more slots in to tighten it up further. Okay, try to tuck it in. Yeah, and then just take away any excess flower that drop off. And then actually here you actually have your card completed. So there you have it, your very own thank you card using felt tip calligraphy. I hope that you have enjoyed today's session demonstration on silk screening and also calligraphy. So right now, if you have any questions, Taekyeon and I will actually be here till the end of the session to take on any questions that you might have. Thank you.